Let's check out the Fuso starting grid. 28 cars will greet the starter at Sydney Motorsport Park in a moment from pole position, Jamie Whincup. His 4th this year, his career 35th, the team's 50th. Jonathan Webb, the first man on soft tyres. Then it's Will Davison, a winner here in 08. Michael Caruso, personal best for him this year. Mark Winterbottom done a great job in qualifying as well, the local boy. He's been a winner here the last time out in 2008. Craig Lowndes, great run in Queensland Raceway. David Reynolds, a very happy Shane Van Gisbergen with the balance and performance of his car. Shane Van Gisbergen, Tony D'Alberto, Russell Ingall, the second of the cars in the top 10 on a soft tyre. So 2 guys in the top 10 on the soft tyre. Look for them.
Yeah, Garth Tander qualified outside the top 10 for the 4th straight race. He hasn't done that since back in 2004. So it's been a long, hard road over the last few events for Garth Tander as we run you down through the field. David Wall, a Sydney local, the only driver in the field, still live in Sydney. There are quite a few guys who grew up in and around this area. Rick Kelly and Alex Premer make up positions 21 and 22. 23 and 4 belong to Taz Douglas from Team I Select and James Moffat. Lee Holdsworth, well, he won't be happy about that. Back in 25th position. We would expect a lot more from Lethal. Maybe we'll get it in the race. So those starting on soft tyres. As Neil mentioned, we know Jonathan Webb at the front of the grid. Then Russell Ingall, James Courtney, Taz Douglas, Lee and Carl Reindler. So 6 drivers out of 28 have elected to go for the soft option to start with.
Notice when we were talking to Will down on the grid there before, I saw him in the airport lounge on the Monday after Queensland Raceway, and he was a bit forlorn, and unfortunately his grandma Diana Gaze had just passed away, and so he's got a little commemoration on the front of his helmet, and we just want to extend our sympathies and our thoughts to everybody in the Gaze and the Davison families going into this race.
It's a nice touch too. It's got doing it for Di on Will's helmet this weekend. There's Shane Van Gisbergen. We haven't made too much mention of him throughout qualifying and throughout practice. He's flying under the radar a little bit, but he's inside the top 10, so he'll be one to watch. This is the kind of circuit that'll suit his driving style. It's fast, it's open, it's flowing, and as Scafey, you mentioned right up the top, it's got that European feel about it, that Phillip Island feel about it, especially as they go charging down to turn 1. Remember, if you've got to leave our coverage at any stage, you won't miss a beat if you've got your Telstra NextG mobile phone. Thanks to Big Pond Sport. Just check in and you'll be able to keep track of what's happening here at Sydney Motorsport Park.
This is one of the hardest starts because it's really downhill. Very easy for the cars to move at the start. And you can tell there with the guys lining them up properly. You've got to give yourself a little bit of margin against the white line, the box that you drive the car into, to make sure that if you do creep, that you don't get the wheel over the line. You see the guys all warming the tyres up. The right-hand side of the road, on your left now, is the clean side of the road, but on the inside, very important to be into the first corner on the safe side, which is basically where the championship hunters are, with Whincup, Davison and Winterbottom, 1, 3 and 5 on the inside.
Critical time of the year. The final event before the Enduro season starts. The green flag is flying at the rear of the grid, and after 4 long years, it's welcome back to the West, V8s. And off we go. Here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and Jonathan Webb got a good one. Will Davison's been absolutely swamped.
And so has Jamie Whincup. He got a very ordinary start. He's side by side with Will through 1. Caruso got a ripper.
His starts this year have been appalling. That was a really bad start for Winterbottom, and he's come from pole. He'll be in 7th or 8th. As Van Gisbergen does a big dive around the outside, he'll be trying to get, there's Villeneuve off the road. He'll be trying to get up the inside of Whincup for turn 3.
Yeah, by my count, Whincup had dropped back to 7th by turn 2. He's made up a little bit of ground, but that's Craig Lowndes now fighting with Davison, who's also punching back, and Craig goes wide and gets onto the grass, but gets it back in. Now Van Gisbergen has a look at him on the inside, up over the rise, up to turn 6. The new part of this circuit, there'll be a lot of activity here, and if you go wide on the exit, there's a little strip of grass there that will cause chaos to you. So Webb leads them through.
Lowndes had a real battle on his hands there through turn 4 and 5. He was in all sorts of strife, and there was some pushing and shoving in that pack as well. Look at Webb. Soft tyre working a treat for him. He's opened up a margin. Michael Caruso to 2nd, Winterbottom to 3rd, and then it's traffic chaos in the mid-pack.
Courtney and Kelly. Todd Kelly. That was Tander, rather. Tander and Todd Kelly getting together, and Courtney's just tucking in now behind his teammate. Michael Patrizzi's behind him, so that's mid-pack. About to complete the first entertaining flying lap. Webb leads them through 1:36.17. If you please, standing start time. Caruso, then Winterbottom. Here they come.
When they come off that last turn, they drop the right rear onto the gravel, just off the little concrete apron, and throws up rocks. When you're in the following car, you just get peppered with stones and dirt. It's very hard to see when you're about 10th in the queue because you're literally inside a dust cloud there. That makes getting off that last corner very, very tricky.
And do you remember the contact that was made at Simmons Plains between Will Davison and Craig Lowndes? There's still angst about that moment. And that put Lowndes out of that race. Big championship implications, and they just bumped again. When you said it before, at the contact point was actually turn 4, and they hit wheel to wheel again, which put Lowndes out into the paddock on the left-hand side. He battled to stay on the road.
And they all know how vital track position is in the early phase of the race. So the reason why it's so willing in the first 2 or 3 kilometres of the race is they've got to try and make their move when they can. So they play for keeps in the early stages before the tyres start to settle and wear, and you get trapped under somebody's wing. You can spend 10 or 15 minutes or more behind someone, even if you've got more pace.
And you're gone then, because you've lost the track position. The guys that have done a very good job on the first lap, obviously Caruso, we know that Webb's on the soft tyre, but Caruso did a really good job from the start. So did Mark Winterbottom. He come from 5th position to be 3rd.
New lap record, Jonathan Webb, 1:30.94.
So it officially took one flying lap to eliminate your lap record time from the books. Scafie as
gone.
Mark Winterbottom has a look up on the inside. Does it nicely on Caruso and Lowndes.
Someone was in trouble down there at turn 2. There's a big lock-up.
So Lowndes got past Davison. So the order's now Webb, then Winterbottom and Caruso, then Lowndes, then Will. Russell Ingall up to 6th. He's the second car on soft tyres in the queue.
Sydney Motorsport Park's turning it on for the Sydney drivers. Webb, Winterbottom and Caruso are all Sydney locals. Mark Winterbottom grew up from just around the corner at Doonsides, one suburb away from here. Have all his family around for this weekend.
There is a little bit in that, to the extent that we go back to the replay at the start here, and this is with Jamie. Tardy start, it actually bogged down a bit, and then 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. He's getting swamped by everybody here. We switch angles. Look how awkward it is through turn 1. Bit of oversteer. There's Will on the right. Oh, it's hard to stop them down there on cold tyres. This is why Will looked a bit spooked out there as well. Here he is again from the other angle. Look at Webby gone, Caruso gone, Winterbottom gone, Lowndes gone. And for Whincup, he had to then hold station with Will Davison.
On board there with Davison, you can see Whincup and Davison of the front group, the worst starts of the top 5. And this is on board with Davison. Now, watch the braking down here. He did a really good job. He's come around with Whincup, they're on outside, and then wham, down the outside, around the outside of 3 cars to get up the inside of Craig Lowndes on the next corner.
And trouble down here at turn 6, and 2 of the Jim Beam cars. Oh, that was awkward, and it's fired Dean Fiore off, and it was a pretty nasty interlocking of wheels down there on the exit of turn 6. Bad moment for Dean Fiore. That trick around the outside at turn 2 is one that's been tried for many years. Usually you get this rush where you think, yep, that's fantastic. The problem is you've got to get the car stopped and turned on the dirty part of the track, right, and hope that nobody drills the side of the car.
So remember that Russell Ingall is on soft tyres. He started in 10th position. He's now up to 6th. And it will only be a matter of time before he improves that. That's Will Davison in front.
I was talking to Russell and Rob Starr. Rob has been an HRT engineer there for many, many years and one of the most experienced guys in pit lane. They were talking about the strategy, and Mark Larkham set the scene for us very well a couple of minutes ago about all the different variables that will happen through this race. And they basically said what we were talking about was try to use the tyres at the start, get track position, and see how long the soft tyre lives for. The way they're going, they'll know 2 or 3 laps down the road from everybody else what the soft tyre life's like.
Lowndes up to third.
So Caruso's tyres just hurting a bit. He said to me in the break between qualifying and the race, I can't believe how quickly the tyres go away here. And that's been an echoing statement up and down the paddock. To answer that question about pace, Webb's 6/10 slower on the last lap than his fastest lap of the race. And everybody will be watching Webb's tyre performance here to measure how they play the strategy game. This is the replay of Lowndes down the inside for position 3. Michael Caruso on the outside.
Nice move. It's quite a complex corner, that corner. It's got 2 apexes. And this is the spot where it's been changed. So that's Ingle down the inside. He's passed Caruso and Davison. So 1 lap ago, we were on board with Russell Ingle. He was right behind Will Davison down here at turn 8. And in 1 lap, he's picked 2 more spots up. So he's ranging up onto the back of Craig Lowndes now. He's in 4th position.
And our pole sitter, Whincup, is now ranging up on the back of Will Davison as well as he tries to fight his way back through the field.
And Winterbottom, who's 5.8 seconds behind Jonathan Webb at the moment, has just asked for them to lower the rear roll centre in the stop. So he must feel that the back of the car's too lively at the moment, sliding around too much. He needs to calm it down.
And one of the interesting things, because all the guys are saying that there's a big difference in the car setup for the soft tyre versus the hard tyre. With the soft tyre on, the cars tend to understeer. And with the hard tyre, they tend to oversteer. So if you try to change the balance now, when they do change the tyres, it'll be hard to read that and make sure that the next segment is good.
Gee, Michael's struggling at the moment, so Will Davison slices up there as well to position 5. And so next in the queue would appear to be Jamie Whincup. So Michael's struggling with the grip on the Fujitsu entry at the moment. Gary Rogers not here this weekend. He's overseas.
Well, Roland Dane was so used to seeing Jamie Whincup do things so well, but not his best start today, 1st to 7th.
Yeah, not the best one I've seen, but trying to make life interesting for everyone out there. So I think we've got a good old battle going on right now.
Well, that should spice it up. Thanks, Roland.
Thank you.
That's James Courtney now right in behind Michael Caruso. Have a look for this, because there's a good passing opportunity off the back. This is called Corporate Hill, turn 7. And then down the inside, that's the spot. Well done, James Courtney. Nice move. Caruso didn't try to block him, did a very nice job also.
Yeah, Michael Caruso is a bit of a target for those on soft and hard tyres at the moment. James is on the soft tyres, so 3 guys inside the top 10 on the softer compound. Jonathan Webb is 1. He leads the way. Russell Ingle and James Courtney the others. Got our eyes on the lot here at Sydney Motorsport Park on our mega wall. Pit lane, a hive of activity as it always is in the Team Vodafone bunker. Race control sitting steady. They haven't had to deploy the safety car as yet. Main straight's waiting for the entourage to arrive. And it's all going on the track. Jonathan Webb leads the way from Mark Winterbottom. Then it's Craig Lowndes, Russell Ingall and Will Davison make up our top 5.
On the topic of race control, one of our mates and colleagues not with us this weekend, Peter Wallerman, who's typically there playing the role of investigating officer, keeping an eye on the kids at school, making sure they behave and handing out the odd penalty, or at least discussing it, investigating it. He's been crook. He had an operation last Saturday. I know he's watching at home. Pete, hope everything's well, and we look forward to having you back here at the race meeting again soon.
Here, Crompo, David Reynolds, as we check in on him, is in position 10. So that's Shane Van Gisbergen behind him, Tony D'Alberto, then Todd Kelly. Checked out some tweets throughout the break and had the question, what is the top speed down the main straight? 270.
270, yep, so it's a very fast entry into turn 1. And this is turn 1 curve where we're just watching those cars approach the inside apex. And this is pretty lively battle that's been going on for a couple of laps with Dave Reynolds. He made a very good pass. In fact, he got around the inside of Van Gisbergen through turn 1 and then down into turn 2, and then Van Gisbergen gave him a hit, which you have a look at the damage on the back of the Bottle O Falcon. He gave him a hit in the middle of turn 2. The left-hand rear there, just have a look at that damage. It's caved the back of that in, and that was Shane Van Gisbergen making contact.
And we've reached that point in the day here where you've just got to be a bit tricky where you position yourself and how you sight turn 1 because of the sun becomes a bit of an issue here, and it's also the case coming around turn 7, Corporate Hill, and then into the hairpin. I had to think about the numbers there, folks.
Okay, so Jonathan Webb now has an 8.5 second lead. Remember, he started on the front row of the grid, got a good start too. He's on soft tyres. So the Sargent security-backed Techno Autosports Webby is flying at the front. Here they come.
The numbers are the critical thing here, Matty. A 32-1 for Webby. They're just starting to equalise now on the hard tyre. 2-5 Winterbottom, 2-3 for Lowndes.
So then it was Winterbottom, Lowndes, Ingall, Davison, Whincup and Courtney. There's Michael Caruso. He's got Garth Tander tucked in behind him. Then Davey Reynolds, Van Gisbergen, D'Alberto, Kelly. The rest of the train, single file down the main straightaway.
So that's the critical thing now. We're on our 10th lap of 36, 140k race. We're just seeing the moment in the race now where the hard tyre and the soft tyre are beginning to equalise in lap speed. It's still a tiny edge in favour of those on the softs. So Jonathan Webb and Russell Ingall first and fourth at the moment. We've got a tiny little bit of lap speed over and above the others, but we'll watch now very carefully to see how that plays in the next couple of laps. It's 8.4 seconds Webb to Winterbottom.
And that number is really equalising, as you said. They're only maybe 2 or 3 tenths of a second apart at the moment. The other part about it is there's 2 different strategies of how you drive the soft tyre. I think Russell Ingall, who's on the soft tyre but he's in 4th, is actually approaching it pretty well. He's not trying to use them too much and maybe try to stay on the soft tyre for longer. So drive it to a lap time, don't drive it to the ultimate grip level.
Boys, I'm down here in Jonathan Webb's garage, and there's a guy I want to catch up with. He's one of the smart guys in pit lane. His name's Bruce Jenkins. Bruce, sorry to interrupt you. I know you're busy, mate, but we actually talked about we like this strategy, particularly for where you guys are in the championship. Have you got a sense of what sort of lead you want to get to make it safe to get onto the hard tyres?
Not really, no. We're just going to keep going and at the pace that we're going at and see when the times equal out between soft and hard. We're not racing the people behind us. They're not in our championship game, so we're doing our own thing. That's our ploy now.
And that's why I think it's a clever strategy. And you make a good point. So it does give you that opportunity. You can make the decision rather than be locked in when you switch around.
The window is lap 12, but if we're still pulling away from the rest of them, we'll just keep going as we go.
Yeah, we're actually just looking at the numbers, seeing a little bit of drop off with Jonathan now. So now it becomes a little bit of driver management, not just tyre management.
Unfortunately, we're giving everybody an idea on what they can do tomorrow.
Well, that's the other downside, but well done. Good strategy.
Such a strategy game. Tim Edwards, the boss at Ford Performance Racing, is hoping to get Mark Winterbottom to lap 13, and then they will bring him in, slap on the soft tyres and go for broke to get to the line.
Yes, Brett, I was talking to Tim Edwards about the same thing, and what he said to me, I'm sure he made the same comment to you, was that the last 5 laps will be very interesting because nobody knows how many laps the soft tyre will do. And this point here, we just saw when
that doesn't
Mark
help
was
it.
exactly when Mark was talking to Bruce Jenkins, Jonathan Webb had a big right front lock-up into turn 4.
And if what Tim Edwards is saying is correct about Winterbottom, that's a long stint on the soft tyre. That's a very long stint on the soft tyre. That's Robbie Starr on the radio in the background as Lowndes peels off. So Lowndes in the pit lane there in car 888. Team Vodafone, that brings Russell Ingall up to 3rd. So it's Webb, Winterbottom, Ingall, 1, 2, 3. It's 8.7 seconds Webb to Winterbottom. And that lap, both Webb and Frosty recorded all but the same time, a 1 minute 32.4.
4 race wins at this circuit for Craig Lowndes. Even his competitors said he was in a league of his own at Queensland Raceway.
Put on the brake and the clutch for it, please. Nice and steady for the boys.
It's a ripper shot.
Okay, all wheels are done. Nothing in pit lane. Waiting on fuel. Good to go.
This is a big gamble. These guys are taking the punt on the soft tyre, living for longer than anybody else. See what happens in terms of Lowndes being able to make this soft tyre live. He was the benchmark at Queensland for it. This circuit's way harder on tyres than Queensland Raceway.
And we've seen him defy soft tyre gravity on a couple of occasions. In Perth several years ago he did it, and he's done it a couple of times since then. Queensland Raceway, he's done a great job on them, but gee, that's a long way to go. In fact, I reckon I prefer to be in Jonathan Webb's shoes at the moment, knowing that I was going to go on to the hard tyre. Time will tell.
I agree. And there a lot of management required in terms of talking to Craig. Jeremy Moore's got a very good relationship with him, but they'll have to talk their way through this and drive it to a lap time. Don't drive it too hard.
Because it isn't just wheel spin, so Winterbottom coming in as well. It's not just wheel spin here, is it? Because the other thing, we talk a lot about the right rear tyre. The front right tyre here gets absolutely hammered. And if your car balance isn't quite right, it'll understeer like a dog on a dying soft tyre.
So this is now the guys from FPR responding to Craig Lowndes. Mark Winterbottom in the pit. He was running second. He's done a very good job at the start of this race. And he'll put the soft tyre on. There was a bit of drama with that right rear then. That may have cost them a little bit of time.
I reckon they left it. Did that stay on there? I need to have a look at that again, but I don't know that they actually got it done, did they?
I don't know if they got it off.
I think they did, but it did take a little while.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that there you go, Davey Reynolds just stalled his car. Come on, mate. Yeah, isn't it interesting that once Lowndes did that and he's gone out on a limb, I totally agree with, but how it's triggered other guys around him in the championship. And I think this is going to make a fascinating race at the end because these guys will be wobbling.
Well, Lowndes has just undercut him in that strategy play there, so being on the soft tyre a little bit earlier has helped. Remember that Ford Performance Racing were able to do that to others earlier in the championship very effectively, but I don't actually think it's going to be a big story about who's undercut and who gets the jump. I think the big story here is going to be look down the road a little bit and who's got what to fight with later in the day.
Our leader has come in, Crompo Jonathan Webb.
Yeah, there he is.
In pit lane, about to enter pit lane.
Look at the speed on the way in there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you got to add to that, Neil, you're right.
Oh, he got him. He got him, Lyco.
Sorry, mate.
No, he gave him a bump, so Whincup has just given Davison a bump as soon as they got to the pit lane. Have a look when you get down there, but I don't know whether there's any damage, but they definitely bumped.
There goes Webby, serviced on the hard tyre.
And that was so close. He was just dropping as Will Davison came in front of him. So there was a bit of damage on the rear of Jamie's. But I don't think there was any on the rear of Will's.
Correct. Waiting on the fuel. FPR car's coming. Yeah, Virgin behind, please. Sorry. Thank you.
Great illustration of the tear off on the windscreen there and how it works. Just like you use on a motorcycle helmet visor or motocross goggles, just pull the tear off away, clean vision. So there's Will in front of Jamie Whincup. Russell Ingall is the race leader. Check this out. Have a look and listen.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. G'day, mate, because they are mates, but he's testing that at the moment.
How many times have you done that? You always, right at the end, you go, oh, no, it's going to get him, bang.
Here it is again, look at this. Coming. Boom, arrived.
Little Samsung dent there. You just see how the left-hand front corner's got a bit of tweaking going.
But if I was Jamie, I'd give him a pat on the back and shake his hand at the end of the day, because it meant that he regulated into 40 Ks at just the right moment.
Russell Ingall, the oldest man in the field, is leading this race. His soft tyres have done 14 laps so far. We said at the very top of this broadcast that this man is on a roll. He's made a habit of doing the unbelievable things this season, and he's going to be asked to do that again today. Craig Lowndes will have to make 25 laps, squeak out of these soft tyres, and watch this for a move on Jonathan Webb at turn 2. And he held it. He just made it stick. So Lowndes goes up to 17th. Remember, that's the first guy in the queue to have stopped. So that's, at this stage, an effective race lead. The leader on the road is Russell Ingall, who's done 16 laps now on the soft. Scar Tander is second. Shane Van Gisbergen is third. Will Davison again has Jamie Whincup on his hammer.
Yeah, Matty, these two are continuing their duel out on the track, but on the way to pit lane, Will got a fairly decent smack from Jamie. Tim Edwards, there was something in that.
Oh, well, look, it's an interesting one because they've been very diligent on making sure nobody does over 40 Ks coming into the pit lane. And they've got a sensor right on the line, and obviously when someone taps you up the backside, you know, you can conceivably be 3, 4, 5 Ks over, but the reality is we're not going to know until after the race when they actually download the cars, and obviously they'll, race control have got the information up there, but, you know, they've got to look at Jamie's data as well, but some bit of controversy.
Have you had a chance to fire off an email upstairs?
Yeah, I mean, we'll raise it straight away. It was something that as soon as they said they were going to be so hot on that pit entry line, both our drivers said at the time, well, when we get to Eastern Creek, you know, it's such a high approaching speed to pit entry that, you know, if somebody comes in steaming in behind you, they could conceivably knock you over the pit line at, you know, 5, 10, 15 Ks too fast. So anyway, they'll have a look at it after the race, I'm sure, but I'm more concerned about whether we're going to get 23 laps out of our soft tyres at the moment.
Good luck with that. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, mate.
That's the big question.
That is the big question. That's one that they'll be scratching their heads about later in the day. They won't be worried so much about the pit lane entry. Here's Winterbottom on Jonathan Webb, inside of the hairpin turn 8. Tim's point, though, about that entry into pit lane here, Scope, it's always a bit weird. Frosty's got the inside running here when it counts at the next corner, and he'll just hold on. When you peel off the last corner here, as the boys are about to do, and then you jink to the left, you go to... It's actually a bit spooky because at the end of the pit lane is a bit of a chicane, and you sort of can't really see the lane. It's actually dug out quite deeply into the hill. So you raw down there, you're well north of 200 kilometres an hour, still pulling gears, and then eventually you've got to be out, oh, problem here for Whincup, what's all that?
I reckon he just got loose on the exit, right where you were talking about, on the exit of turn 11, and found himself on the dust, and look, he's got junk all over the front of the car. So I don't know if he's hit anything, Cronko, but I'm pretty sure he's just gone wide.
It's a bit of the radiator blocker. Yeah. It's actually hanging across the front of the car there. It's got stones and rocks. He's actually... she's well and truly been off the road, that thing, by the look of it.
4 wheels gone. So we're just trying to check that whether there's any additional damage under the front there, because sometimes can do splitter damage. The floor of the spoiler, here we go. So
okay.
What happens with that is a little bit, it's a big moment, but as soon as the car in front is off the road, you tend to follow it. So if he's a little bit wide, you're always a little bit wider, and that's what happened.
Gee whiz.
And the front splitter got dug down too.
Yeah.
As he bounced into the dirt.
That's real bad news for those tyres. That's not good to drag them through the rocks to that extent. Absolutely coated the cars in rocks and debris and garbage, and then some of it falling out the front together with that little bit of blocker that's in there as well, a little panel that's just come out in the front of the car. So this is on board with Frosty, Mark Winterbottom. He's in 14th at the moment, and he's one of these guys that has to perform something of a soft tyre miracle. Tander.
There to go on a drop. There to go. Okay.
Now, as Garth departs, stop to think about Russell Ingall, who's still out there on the soft tyre, still leading the race, still punching out pretty fair number. Driving, I'd suggest, to the number that Mark Scope mentioned earlier, that just instead of trying to beat absolute pace out of it, just rolling along on the softs to get the most amount of performance he can before he hurts them. When he goes onto the hard tyre, he's got 17.5 seconds over second place at the moment, and he's got a relatively short stint on his next set of tyres. That's a nice position to be in.
All wheels done, just waiting on fuel, still waiting, pit road will be clear, go mate, go, you're off, and turn your orange light on please, orange light on.
Welcome back to Sydney Motorsport Park, where the lead keeps changing because these drivers are diving in and out of pit lane, going from softs to hards or hards to softs. And that's what it is. It's a tyre game at the moment. Craig Lowndes is winning that game at the moment.
He's the first in the queue who's made a stop as Fabian Coulthard does his stop for Team BOC. David Wall in as well. Todd Kelly. But the thing about Lowndes, who's now actually third on the road on a soft tyre, he's got to make them last to the end, and that's the big question mark. Now, Russell Ingall came in. He had a 40-second lead over Craig Lowndes, and on our calculations, fuel, tyres, transiting the pit lanes, about a 44-second mission, but then he stalled on departure, and that's hurt him slightly. But Rusty's on the hard tyre, so the equation here is whether or not those, Jonathan Webb and Russell Ingall, who've got the reverse to others, can actually pull something out here. And this is going to be fascinating in the closing stages. Can Craig Lowndes nurse these tyres to the end? He's on a roll, well detailed at Queensland Raceway. Frosty's got the same mission. Tim Edwards described that before from inside the bunker at Ford Performance Racing.
And I guess one of the other important things when you're on the soft tyre, whether it's at the start of the race or at the end of the race, you can really only drive to a number if you're not involved in warfare out there.
That's right.
If you're not trying to pick apart people in front of you and defend from people behind you. And Russell had that good run. He managed to be able to do that all himself, but the work came undone in pit lane.
Yeah, look, cover off on a couple of things. That bit of blocker that Neil was talking about on Jamie Wincup's car, the front there, was the radiator blocker. I spoke to Mark Dutton, his engineer. He said, by design, if you can make that come off halfway through the race when you're behind the car, it'll cool it down. Well done.
Perfect.
But what I do want to do, I'll just follow him in. We'll see if we can sneak a quick word with Jeremy Moore, Craig Lowndes' engineer. Jerry, we were a little gobsmacked when you came in on lap 12. Now, we've looked at Webby's degradation, as I know you have, about 0.14, 0.15 a lap. You've got a long way to do on those soft tyres. How are you going to play this out, mate?
Oh, absolutely same as Willowbank. You just need to stay in front. Everyone's on the same boat now, Winterbottom. So we're just hoping really our degradation's better than theirs, because it's still slower than doing a pit stop. So at worst, we might lose a couple of spots to the guys that stayed out longer, but in the end, we should be able to win, hopefully, if the tyres hang in. We did a long run in practice, and it looked pretty good, so fingers crossed.
We saw you do this at Willowbank. It's a good point, but this circuit is much, much tougher. So you obviously, there's a heavy reliance on Craig here to be able to drive the car in a very extraordinary fashion.
Absolutely, he's one of the best, if not the best, at doing that. So it's all in his hands now. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
Good on you, buddy. It's a great wrap.
Don't you love... I mean, Jeremy Moore has got a great relationship with Craig, but don't you love the engineers? Leave it up to the driver. Yeah, head you that job. You go your hardest, mate. Just don't hurt those tyres.
Here's the brief.
Yeah, the slide ruler says it was fine. Good luck with that. It's a hard task. And what has to be done from the driver's seat is to breathe gently on the throttle and minimise wheel spin. It's not even the easily perceived wheel spin. It's the very subtle wheel spin that is constant with these cars in the low gears. We're going to stay on board here for a full lap. We're with Jamie at turn 1. Let's just settle back and enjoy it.
Dutton just say that? I think he said, get him in the next lap, please, which I think he's been trying to get him for the last 5 laps.
Yeah, if you can't get him in the next lap, give it some fresh air. It was a strange message. Lowndes is now officially the race leader. He's got a 1.7 second margin over Winterbottom. Jonathan Webb, though, is on the hard tyre. He's in third position. Is he a threat? Will Davison in position 4, and that battle continues with Jamie Whincup. This is going to be a beauty.
Now, eyes forward. Let's see if we can get these guys eyes.
We're on lap 25 out of 36 this afternoon in race 18 of the championship here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Hope you're enjoying it on 7 and right around the world. We've got Craig Lowndes 2 seconds ahead of Mark Winterbottom at the front of the field. Then it's this pack: Will Davison, Jamie Whincup. So the top 4 are all on soft tyres. Jonathan Webb is on the hard tyre, and this is why he's under attack. And they ganged up on him here.
He was a bit wide. He kind of left a half gap at the previous corner at 5, thinking that Will was under there, and he wasn't quite there at the time. And then that mispositioned him. Here it is again back at 4. So Will's had a bit of a dive, thought about it. Jonathan wasn't sure where he was, stayed a little wide to minimise the possibility of contact, and then he just absolutely got attacked here at turn 6. That's Jamie we're looking at in the background. He was set to pounce. He was very hungry on the curb to do it. Went left of the high part of the curb. Has Douglas.
Yeah, and Steve Owen caught on the inside, a little bit of contact there.
Steve Owen got married since we last saw him to Leah, so congratulations.
And so did Rick Kelly.
To Alicia, congratulations. And Lee Holdsworth and Alana Baby Ava, congratulations. All those boxes ticked. Anybody else we've missed?
Murph turned 40, which we mentioned. Congratulations.
I sent him a text to say congratulations, and he wasn't that thrilled about the fact we remembered the date. So Murph will be watching. Jacques Villeneuve's driving again in the Pepsi Max car. So happy birthday for the other day, Murph.
Stephen Johnson's just come into pit lane again. Big puff out of the back of the VIP Pet Foods car over the hill. So here comes Junior. Remember, the Jim Beam cars were caught in contact. And Dean Fiore caught together at the top of the hill, Corporate Hill up there at turn 7. So 10 laps to go, and this is when we'll start to get the answers to those questions. The biggest one being, can Craig Lowndes take it all the way to the finish and therefore do 25 laps on the soft tyre compound and hold the rest at bay? Mark Winterbottom's behind him. His tyres are only 1 lap newer. And then Davison and Whincup.
The short shift there is a classic example. So out of turn 2 in second gear, third, and then immediately to fourth gear through the right-hander at turn 3. Because that corner, if you actually stay up the throttle and you go all the way to the end of the 7,500 range of available revs and then snick it into the next gear, it'll light up the rear of the car and burst into oversteer. You'll cross your arms up, hurts the tyre. So to get around it, the driver just basically bypasses third gear. Second gear, quickly ease it through third, grab fourth and sneak round the right-hander.
There's a good reason why we've found Garth Tander and James Courtney. They've done a great job to get into this top 10 scenario. They both qualified outside of the top 10. Now, Courtney is on the harder compound tyres. Tander is on the soft, but he's only done 8 laps. Now, he's in position 7.
And he's got good lap speed, and his strategy has been such that he's been able to protect himself into a short stint on the soft tyre. They had a decent day out at Winton just recently within the Walkinshaw Racing Group, where Nick Percat was out in the development car and did some work that has contributed, I think, to some improvements with the HRT cars this weekend. Garth was of the view that it has helped.
Now, if you're a Stephen Johnson fan, I'd be coming back here tomorrow. Cute little strategy. Remember that little coming together he had with Dean Fiore? Well, Stephen Johnson, who we just saw pit, he came back in and pulled his soft tyres off. So he's complied with the rules. He's put them on. 1 lap only. He's got 2 sets of soft tyres for tomorrow, which is exactly 1 set more than the rest of the field.
Yeah, I heard him talking about it on the radio and confirming that they had to cross the control line to make sure it was legal, but it's a good call if you're going to have a bad Saturday. And it's as bad as it has worked out for him. You may as well fold it up and bin it. Think about what you can do with it for tomorrow, and that's what they've done.
Just checking out the times there, Crompo, the top 10. So there's 3 drivers inside the top 10 who aren't on softs. They're Webb, Ingle and Courtney. Of those 3 guys, Ingle has been posting the best times. In fact, he was half a second quicker than Webb last time around, and Lee Holdsworth's day is not getting any better.
Michael Patrizzi was on the inside. That apron on the right-hand side there of turn 7's a new inclusion, and something that's been done in runoff areas, Formula 1 tracks in the recent past, where they've gone away from the notion of having the gravel and the aggregate out there, and so in that instance it's allowed Lee to grab a gear and press on, albeit with probably some flat spots on those tyres. He had a really awkward qualifying. I spoke to Jim Stone about it at Stone Brothers Racing. Got some new livery on that Irwin car this weekend. Tried to find out what the story was and said there's just no logic to it. The car just wasn't very good, and no solid explanation as to why. Lowndes is the leader. 1.9 seconds is the gap to Mark Winterbottom. Ford Performance Racing is 2nd and 3rd. Webb is 5th. Ingle is 6th.
Mate, 1.8 with the bottom. Great job.
Well, this is it now inside the last 10 laps of this race. That's James Moffat and David Wall, who have been swapping a little bit of paint over the last couple of laps. 19th and 20th position, respectively. Team Norton entry in the Wilson security car. So now on lap 30 out of 36. Further up the front of the field. As you can see, the sun starting to get lower and lower here in Western Sydney. We've got Lowndes extending his lead over Mark Winterbottom. It's now 2.1 seconds. Will Davison 13 odd seconds behind. I mentioned it before, I've been watching the times, particularly of Russell Ingall. His times on the hard tyre are now starting to match the times of those degrading soft tyres ahead of him. His problem is that he's in 6th spot, 20 seconds off the lead of the race, but it's been a good effort and they'll be very confident going into tomorrow.
And hurt by the fact that here goes Gizzy up the inside of Tony D'Alberto, so that's for position 11 for Shane. The stall. Hurt by the fact that he probably lost a good 5 or 6 seconds in the pit lane with the stall. Mind you, you know, the boys down there in the bunkers are the ones with the knowledge, and they understand the numbers that they're looking at, and they have made these soft tyres play longer than we thought they were going to. We're in the critical phase now, because when they do fall off the cliff edge, it's generally within the last few laps of the race. We're 5 laps to home now. And Lowndes has got 2.5 seconds over Winterbottom. He's easing that out slightly. Here's this little group of guys. Tander on the younger soft tyre charging in 7th. Webb and Ingall on the hard tyre in 5th and 6th. Of course, it's true to say that the hard tyre degrades as well. It's not as though it's bulletproof. I think you could run around here on Emery wheels and find that they still get hurt. We've all been on lots of different tyres over a long period of time, and they can still slip and slide late in the day.
So Ingall looking pretty racy behind Webb. Both, as Neil said, on the hard tyre. Webb locks on the right in front, runs wide, and Ingall gets down the inside. I've been alongside Russell just there.
How did that end?
Not good.
I don't know, it was good for us. We loved it.
We've been dining out on it for years.
And Jonathan's going to hold position here. And Russell's going to lose it. Lose the position from Garth, who's on the soft tyre.
That was weird, wasn't it? Yeah. So Russell's ended up paying the price. Great battle, this one. Strategy to play. So Lowndes 32.7, Winterbottom 32.8, Davison 32.9, Whincup 35.2, so a bad lap for Jamie for some reason. Webby a 34.6, Tander a 33.3. There he goes. So Garth's blazing at the moment. Young soft tyre is the trick.
Puts him up to 5th, and Russell's not done with Jonathan Webb right now.
Young soft tyre. Sounds like a medical terminology. Young soft tyre's a trick. Oh, down the inside, Russell. That was a major dive. That is a dive bomb move at turn 4.
You think he was committed?
I think he was. And if Jonathan turned across, it was going to be a massive accident. But he got in there, and that was a very, very good committed manoeuvre.
And pre-planned too, I reckon.
Yeah, and they're, in the case of Russell, 22 odd seconds off the lead of the race. So tyre drama.
Yeah, exactly right, Scafie. Just down here with Mark Dutton, and Jamie's reporting a tyre problem, Mark.
Yeah, possibly a delaminated tyre. Obviously, tyre deg and wear is extremely high here. So it could be that, or it could be just pickup from all the soft tyre rubber coming off. So we're hoping it's the pickup, but we're ready in case it's delaminated.
All right, mate. Thanks for that.
Cheers.
You could hear it on the inner guard there. Just listen. Hear that laminator? That's the tyre delaminating. Now that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. He's going to have to be super careful.
And it sounds like a rear. So that sounded like the right-hand rear. You got to be so careful.
Now trying to get it home will be hard work.
And see, that's important too. He's going to get taken for position here, easy by Garth Tander.
Right rear.
Getting it home is the important thing for Jamie Whincup. He leads the championship by 82 points.
They know that a pit stop will really hurt, so Jamie actually be better to just roll it. Give the complete right rear.
Pressure tyres, they stop very late, eyes forward.
So they'll have to make the judgment call here. Do you bring him in, or does the thing unwind itself to the point where it tips him off the road? If you bring him in, he goes to the back of the field, or he's going to drive super slow and just nurse it home and get any points he can.
I'd be coming in.
Rear bar down.
It's not. It's bigger than that, Dutto.
So why he said rear bar down? Look how sideways he was there. This is seriously dangerous, folks. That right-hand rear tyre is delaminated. You can see, even driving along in a straight line, it's tracking all over the road. So it's peeled all the rubber, the top layer of the tyre off. And you can hear that under the guard. We were listening to it before down the main straight. And turn 1 is the dangerous corner. See, now it's tracking all over the road in a straight line. He can't maintain that. You can see there the damage. It's got the wire on the inner crown of the tyre, the wire hanging out of it. You can hear this now. Let's have a really good listen.
Won't turn. Look at this. Courtney and Webb.
3 to go, mate. 3 to go. We just see it hard, mate, but see if that rear bar down helps at all.
These guys are buddies. They train together. Side by side into turn 1. Webb on the inside hangs on. This is a battle for 6th and 7th. Backward. Whincup mega dangerous at turn 1 with the right rear tyre completely collapsing.
I'd be in.
So he's dropping down, further down the field. This is hurting not only the car, this is hurting his championship lead massively. We won't know until the end because we just don't know whether he's going to finish and how far down he's going to finish.
Well, he's at 10th now, but he'll definitely lose another 4 or 5 spots minimum.
Remember, we identified that 1 minute 35 lap, and we thought, well, he must have just had a bad lap, but how's that? That's just basically belts in the tyre, flicking around and hitting the inner guard. We heard it earlier.
I don't think I'd like to be going down to turn 1.
Nah, well, you can see how conservative he was. He got it to the middle of the corner. What you do with that is you take the load off, and that's exactly what he did. He drove it to the apex of the corner. You watch his style down here when this happens. So we'll show you. So when you turn in, he just gets it to the inside of the corner, and he tries to have no steering load on it. So just watch. You can hear the noise. It gets it to that point there and takes the load off. You can see how straight the car is in comparison.
It's curious that across the teammates, one's been able to have the thing survive in the case of this man, Craig Lowndes, and the other has got a bucket load of trouble. So a little bit of difference perhaps in setup, a little difference in driving style. Look at the amount of opposite lock that Jamie's having to apply to constantly...
2 to go, mate. 2 to go. The car's been starting to get a bit more spread out behind you, so let's just bring it home, mate.
That's 13th for Jamie.
So he's got a bit of room here to at least manage the car. These will be the worst 5 or 6 laps that he's had to do all season.
Very high risk though, because if it pops, it'll rotate him at high speed. It could fly in any direction here.
We've just worked out that to come in and stop would have been late 30 seconds, almost 40 as you said before. And based on that, it won't be any different to where he actually finishes the way he's losing 5 seconds a lap.
But there's a much bigger risk in one of those strategies.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, look at this, Russell.
He almost drilled the back of Tander then. That's turn 6.
Russell's he's going mega hard on these hard tyres. Remember, Gart's on the softer compound, now done 16 laps. Lowndes, unbelievably, is going to do 25 laps on the soft tyre and win the race, assuming nothing disastrous happens to him in the next 1.5 laps. But he's got a 2.2 second lead over Mark Winterbottom. Will Davison's currently in 3rd, and now you're looking at 4th and 5th.
At least these guys are in the battle, so they've been absent other than Russell at the last event at Queensland Raceway, so 3 of them from Walkinshaw Racing are inside the top 10. They're Tander, Ingle and Courtney, 4, 5, 6.
I can't help thinking that when Whincup went off coming onto the straight, that he may have picked something up then. He may have damaged the tyre then, because if Lowndes gets through, then it's almost like a tyre issue, as in a quality issue or a repair.
I'd forgotten about that, and that because he was so far wide at the final corner with rocks flying in every direction. You only have to put a little nick in the tread, and that would work away. Yeah, good point.
I remember back in 2011 after Queensland Raceway, Craig Lowndes won the 3 races that day and then backed it up with you, Scafie, at Phillip Island. That's the last time he's won 4 straight races in the championship. So there's just something golden about this time of the year for this man, because he's about to rack up his 4th straight win again in typical Craig Lowndes fashion. And Whincup, this has finally gone on him. He's going to somehow have to get it back on. So drama at both sides of the garage.
So he's 18th and flailing at the moment, Whincup. 19th now as his teammate gets around the final corner, and he's managed to do the near impossible and have this thing survive.
Now here he comes.
Hey mate, fantastic work. And I hate you with the bad guy, but please don't burn those guys up. We want to be even faster tomorrow. Fantastic job.
Winterbottom 2nd. And Will Davison will across the line in third. So another solid bank of points for the FPR boys. 150 points for Craig Lowndes, who remains well and truly alive in the championship hunt for 2012. Tander and Ingle fought it out. What a dramatic day for Team Vodafone. And here comes poor old Jamie Whincup, nursing car number 1, losing position after position, trying to hold on and just stay on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's 21st in the field now. So that right rear tyre, it's actually a dead set miracle that it stayed up. Actually taken that punishment. Think of the tonnage of the car, the load going through it, the heat.
He's off the road again.
Yeah, off the road, the final corner complex in the rocks there again. So he's going to stumble home. He'll get some points, but not a lot different in the end to the thing we talked about, which was a pit stop, and which would have dropped him back anyway. So he'll get it home. That's the main thing. He'll get some points. He'll be pretty frustrated.
All right, mate, as soon as we pass the start-finish line, let's crawl it home, crawl it home.
Oh, that was a brave run to the end for Jamie Whincup. So he comes across in 23rd position. So that will have dramatic ramifications for the championship. So now 3 straight race wins for Craig Lowndes in 2012. If he can do it again at Sandown, he'll make it 4 straight. As I mentioned, at the exact same time of the year as he did last year, heading into the big one at Bathurst. So there are your provisional results. James Courtney will be happy about that. Finishes inside the top 10, up in 6th. Van Gisbergen punched away in 7th. Jason Bright made it up into the top 10 as well. Michael Patrizzi in position 15. And there's Steve Owen in 20th. You have to flip the page to find. And he comes in here leading the championship. Starts from pole position. Got swamped off the start, went off the track up the top of the hill, and ends up with a delaminating tyre. In the most dramatic fashion, has to nurse car number 1 home. Lowndes has done it again. And that means that the man who's come second, Mark Winterbottom, is now our championship leader by 20 points. So it's swung around. Here comes Craig Lowndes. Now 5 race wins at this circuit. It all started here back in 1996. And he's still going. And still doing things that we think are unthinkable. He's managed to do 25 laps on the soft tyre at this circuit and hold them all off.
Craig Lowndes, you are the master. 25 laps on that soft tyre. That was a remarkable run to the line.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. I think the guys in the team, all of Team Vodafone are working pretty hard the last sort of 6 months to try and get back to where FPR have been. And look, it's a credit to them. They've come out fighting, and really, we're bouncing back right at the moment. But look, to credit also to JJ, my engineer. He's done a fantastic job. Give me a really good car to drive. And of course, I was disappointed after qualifying, because I knew there was more in it. But look, the race is what it shows.
Lowndes, you've always known when to turn it on. This is the right time of the year to be doing this.
Well, it is, Barrett, and I think that as we're leading into our endurance racing is something that it's a part of the year that I really enjoy. The car is working well, I'm working well, the team's working fantastically, but all in all, I'm pretty happy. But just hello to Levi and Chili at home, and look, see what tomorrow brings.
Good on you, mate. Enjoy the podium.
I will, thanks, Brett.
Well done, Lowndesy. And we head across now to Mark Winterbottom. Frosty, tremendous performance once again, and congratulations, you are now the championship leader.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, tough race, but Craig just had a little bit again. So, I'll take that. Second position, home crowd. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Blacktown or Doonside. It feels like home. It's beautiful. So, as long as we're there in December, that's the main plan.
How close did you get to closing in on Lowndesy today?
Well, I didn't have his speed, to be honest. I tried hard, and then your engineer Campbell says, "Okay, push," and I reply, "Mate, I've been doing that for the last 10 laps." So, you just got to be happy with what we're doing. We're progressing. Craig's having a bit of a bubble at the moment. He's on fire, and good luck to him. We just got to catch him. We've got to work harder, and we'll try and get him.
Have a crack tomorrow. Enjoy it, Frosty. Well done.
Our good's Doonside. This place is fantastic. So
it's gold, mate. Welcome home. And to Will Davison, Will, congratulations. This was exactly what you needed at the right time. Back on the podium.
Back on the podium's good, Brett. It was
We want to win. You know, Lounsey is coming strong. So, yeah, clean race. Jamie had a drama, so, you know, you never want to see that. But for the points, you know, finally I've had a few bad ones. So it's amazing how this championship's going to shake out. We're all going to have our good and bad days. Yeah, I really did want to bounce back to the top step today, but we've got tomorrow. So thanks to my guys. All in all, great haul of points. Good to spray some champs again. And been a big few weeks to family. So hi to everyone at home and hey to Tony as well.
Yeah, good on you, Will. It was special, I know, today, but third in the championship now. That's a nice spot to be at this time of the year.
It is, and we've just, you know, if we can't win it, we've just got to be smart and we've got to get the points, and we're going to have some great days from now to the end of the year. And I made a meal of the start, so I'm kicking myself a bit there. Jamie made a worse one than me, but mine was terrible, so that's a bit unlike me. But then it was pretty crazy first lap. I bombed down the outside and there was a bit of panel bashing going on, and it was all good stuff.
All right, have another crack tomorrow, Will. Well done. Enjoy this podium.
I will, you bet. G'day. Thanks, Brett.
Jamie Whincup, some days, mate, if you can't be fast, you've got to be brave, mate, and hat off to you, you were brave there. What was going through your head through turn one there, those last three, 4 laps?
Yeah, hey, we made it hard for ourselves, Lyco, getting a bad start, and then the engine started getting hot, so I had to run offline to get some clean air. Running offline, I've obviously run over something, and it's just slit the tyre, and then it's delaminated, so it was still up, but no rubber, and yeah, she was a bit wild through turn one there.
Well, I know you haven't seen it yet, mate, but you and I are going to dive down here. Well, I certainly am. There's the Dunlop engineers. Pete, can we get in here and get right in close? Let's have a look at this tyre, and I can tell you that's all steel. There's no rubber there whatsoever. Can you see the little steel cables right through there? So something's grabbed and ripped it off or whatever. So, mate, I reckon you're a dead set world champion.
Trust me, there's no grip, but certainly not Dunlop's fault. They do a fantastic job. I've clearly hit something and lost the tread.
Anyway, mate, good for tomorrow.
Yeah, good for tomorrow. Yeah, the car was quick this morning, so great work by Lounsey. If I couldn't get up there, I'm wrapped that he could get up there for the win.
All right, good luck, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Just shows you that this game can change you in the blink of an eye, and I'm not surprised that Jamie didn't want to have a good look down at that tyre, because that was so dangerous toward the end of the race. So Mark Winterbottom now has the championship lead by 20 points. Will Davison 103 behind, and importantly, Craig Lowndes moves further up the ladder in terms of points, closer to the leader, just 162 now adrift of the championship lead. Time now for the podium. Here's Barrett's.
The 2012 Sydney Motorsport Park 360, race 18 of the year. Would you please congratulate our winner from Team Vodafone, Craig Lowndes. In second place, Ford Performance Racing's Mark Winterbottom. In third for Ford Performance Racing, Will Davison. And representing the winning team, Team Vodafone, David Couchy. Making the presentation to third place, David Malone, the Chief Executive Officer of V8 Supercars. Presenting to second place, Paul Cabacco, Business Development Manager of Virgin Australia. Making the presentation to the winning team is Glenn Matthews, the Chief Executive Officer, Australian Racing Drivers Club. And presenting to first place, Andrew Leithhead, the President of our host track, the Australian Racing Drivers Club. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Sydney Motorsport Park 360 Race 18 winners.
Thank you, Barrett's. That is the 86th time now that Craig Lowndes has stood on the top step of the podium. 86 race wins in this extraordinary career